Alright, a quick disclaimer at the start. This is a tutorial of how to use SDL2 in Beef. This is not a tutorial of how to learn programming in Beef, because frankly you shouldn't, at least not at this point, because Beef is still not that stable and very new, so there's not that many tutorials. So actually starting programming with Beef is going to be a bad idea, so if you haven't learned a programming language yet, don't even try. If you've learned something like C++, Java, or C#, Beef is going to be fairly easy for you. If you've learned something else, you should probably try it as well, but might be a bit harder. Then again, next thing is that this follows a pre-made tutorial by someone else, and it doesn't actually show you how to make a game. I won't be making a game in this series. I will later make a series where I'm actually making a game. This shows you the tools of how you can possibly make a game yourself if you combine them correctly. Hello everyone, today we're going to make I'm going to start a tutorial for Beeflang and SDL2. SDL2 stands for Simple Direct Media Layer, and it's basically a graphics library that you can easily use to make games and do that simpler. And I'm going to do it in Beef because it's one of the few that's currently available, and also it's one of the easier. So if you want to learn Beef and program a game in Beef, you have it way easier if you use this library. This is going to follow the tutorial from Lazyfoo. It's a very, very good tutorial on SDL2 in general. However, it is actually for the I think it's for C++ and not for Beef. So this is going to be translating it into Beef and getting a bit of feel for what it should be and how we can change things up and how to do it maybe not necessarily better but different for this programming language. First of all, you'll have to start off by creating a new workspace. I've already done that. I've named mine SDL2 tutorial. Then you have to right click, create a new class. This class should be named program with a 1M. Then you should have it like this. Now you have to write in there the main function. So public static void main. You can also use public static int main or public static void main string args. That's not really a problem, but right now that's the basics of what we have. So first thing we're going to start up with is the size. No, actually it's going to be including SDL2. What we're going to do is add from installed. Right click on your workspace without having anything from here selected. Add from installed. You're going to have a large list, probably not as large as this one, but maybe similar, and you're going to have to find SDL2, click on it, and then click OK. Now you have SDL2 installed here. The workspace has this, since it's not actually saved yet, so we need to go save all in order to save it properly. This is everything that SDL2 has, or at least most of the things that we're going to use. There's also SDL2 app, which is a fast and easy way of writing SDL2 stuff, but for us right now this is not really important. We're just going to use SDL2. So how do we start using SDL2? Next thing we're going to have to do here is go right click on our own project, go to properties, dependencies, and select SDL2 as a dependency. Then go up hit apply, OK, and we're back here. We can now start using SDL2 in our program. First of all, this still has a thing, so go save it. It's better. Now, what do we start with? The tutorial wants that we start with the screen size and the screen width. How can we do this? Well, one thing Beef has is actually globals that are actually very interesting. So we're going to do public static. It's just the global class space. We can use it from any class in this namespace. It's very useful since we might have to get this and it's like a lot of work. So this is way easier for us. So we're going to do const public const int and then go G game height is equal to, the value, how high do we want a game window to be? Let's just say 640. 480 is it. Alright. We now have the public variable that we can use if we want to. G game height, can get it. So we're gonna have to do the same thing for the width of a window. That's basically what we're doing here. We're defining the height and the width of the window that we want to use in the end. Public const int g game underscore width. I can't properly type. 640. Then we have these two defined. We're going to use G in front of here because it allows us to indicate that these are global variables that we can use everywhere. It's just some naming conventions that are important. First of all, what we'll have to do is, again, we can't use SDL2 just yet. We're going to have to import it with the using statement. Using SDL2. And then a semicolon. Never forget that. It's important. Have it here. And have it behind all of these as well. So now that you have, the program looks like this, you can write SDL.window, then the star for a window pointer, name it window in lowercase, is equal to null. There we go. The star indicates that it's a pointer. This means that instead of having the object, we just have the location where the object is. This is because SBL does this, manages these things behind the scenes itself, so we never actually access it directly. We always access it from a pointer. This is a window object. Next, we're going to have to do a screen service. SBL dot surface pointer is screen surface equals null. These two should be marked as never used. That's a warning. Should not be a problem for us right now. Next, what we're going to do is we have these two objects, but we can't use them yet. In order to start using it, we have to initialize SDL. This means that SDL sets itself up so that it works properly. We're going to have to do this with if, then create a body about this, SDL.init for initialize. Then we have to do the flags. We want a single flag, which is the video flag. This is a enum that we'll have to use here. Is smaller than 0. This means that if this happens, if the SDL init returns a number smaller than 0, then SDL failed to initialize. So we technically have to do a some kind of error handling code here. Not necessary yet, but later might be necessary. If it doesn't, we can just continue. Next thing is be else. Same thing here, and then we can put a thing here. What we're going to do is window or window object that we specified over here is equal to SBL.create window. Then we have to put a name in these double brackets. I'm just going to name mine hello SBL. You can name yours whatever you want. Window pos doesn't really matter. We are going to do send it. Keep in mind to to put a comma in between those so that it works fine. Next, what it wants from us is the width and the height and the flags. For the width, we already have set that by the game width, and then we have the game height, and then the flags. What do we want there? we want... That's not actually visible, which is not very nice, is it? Let's see. It's sets to low. It's set to low for this. We want shown as a... there it is, shown. So we have this then. Next thing that we should do in order for this to work correctly is do another error handling, because if this doesn't work, if we can't create a window, we'll have to handle this somehow. How we're going to do this is with if window is equal null. This means that if window hasn't changed at all since we selected it here, since we initialized it here. Again, error handling. This shouldn't happen now. This might be a problem for us later, but right now this should not really be a problem. Next, we do what happens if it doesn't, which is again another else. Method body. Put in here the screen service that we've previously set. This one is equal to SDL.getWindowSurface. This means that we get the surface is basically the pixel data that's on the window. For example, this is the entire surface. This is the window is this object that I can move around right here. So yeah, get surface that wants some specific things. That wants a window pointer, so we can literally just include a window here. There we go. That's basically how we did. If else works like every other programming language as well. No problem here. We can now do SDL.fillRect. Up a semicolon at the end. The surface is the screen surface. The rect is something that we're actually just not going to do. Null. And then the color, which is a... what color do we want is the question. Map RGB is what we want, and yep. Screen surface dot format. This is the pixel format of the screen surface of our window. Then we have values, which is going to be 0xff, 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 or as a number that would be 255, I think. I'm not sure, but that should basically be it. Next thing is we have created a fill rect, but we haven't actually written that to the window yet. For example, if I start this now, we should see a window that pops up for like a second, but nothing actually happens there. So what we're going to have to do is SDL.update window surface. And then we need to specify the window that we want to update. It's this one. Then we have the SDL.delay. We need the delay because without a delay, the window would instantly close. Because how the program works, it steps through this, it steps through it line by line, and after this, if there wouldn't be any delay, if we wouldn't delay anything, it would just go to the end of the program, which is basically stopping. So we need to do a delay of, 5 seconds or something. So 5,000. This is the delay in milliseconds. Then we can go debug, start debugging, or if you want to, you can also just press F5, does the same thing. We'll then have this window up here for 5 seconds. Nothing really happens with it yet, and we're also not actually exiting it properly, which is still what we need to do. This is the so-called cleanup, because you always need to clean up so that SDL doesn't leave any traces in memory. I think it's what the problem here is. So in order to clean this entire thing up and to close it correctly, it currently does that, but it's still necessary. So we do SDL.destroy window. give in our window variable and call SDL.quit. This should work all properly and should delete itself after the 5 seconds. Let's see. Yes, we did it. We have a window. We also still have this. Not necessary. It's going to be necessary at some point, but not right now. What we can do now is actually we can change this. For example, if we were to say 0, 0 and set all of them to 0x00, it would be black. That's the lowest possible value, since it's basically RGB just. We can't move this window yet, because there's something that we haven't set correctly, or that we are gonna set later, so that it functionally works. Right now it doesn't. For example, what we could also do, if we wanted to have red, we would do FF, and then the color would be fully red. You can actually try this out with more values. This is red, green, and blue. And basically, if you set these from 00 to FF in the hex format, it will work properly. This is already 15 minutes. I hope you liked this video, and it got you a bit of a view of how you can use SDL2 in the Beef programming language properly and how you can do your first thing. I'm going to do more tutorials on this, because I think it's a good idea. But right now, I'm just gonna stop it for today. If you liked it, maybe like the video and maybe subscribe. See you all soon. And if you have a problem with your code, you might be able to ask questions in the comments or on the BeefDev Discord, which should be in the description, or on my personal Beef Discord, which I've just set up, which I'm gonna be in, and maybe some other people. That's also just generally some beef themed and a bit more moderated than what the Beef Discord currently has. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you on the next video.